Hello. Happy Friday to my friends. What's going on? Welcome back. Nice to see everybody. Not that I can see you, but I can see some people when they come in and watch the channel. Hello to Mirage, who's already here, who actually gave me a really good suggestion for today's topics. So we're going to get into one of those topics. And just to announce off the top what I want to cover for today is one, I want to go over some recent news, some new items, new products that were launched, things that I think are new. The Vienna HiFi show is coming up. I think it's not this week. I thought it was in May, but I guess it's not in May anymore. I don't know when that is. So we'll do a look at anything that's new. I saw a hint from Eversolo. There's a video here I want to share about Hypex modules and Hypex amps, how they're made, where, things like that. And I also want to talk about a couple of things with speakers, subwoofers, placements in room. A couple things about there's a unboxing of the Arundel 1610s that looks pretty cool. I want to save the HiFi playlist thing, the release radar that I do every Friday or whatnot. I want to keep that to the end of the show so I can split up these two in a video for the replay. And then the other topic that Mirage brought up was the idea of hi-fi shops and kind of what to expect when you visit. Now, it's interesting that that came up as a topic because someone had just recently commented on a video clip that I put up, in which I still do sound clips from hotel shows or audio shows, and I still post the sound of the rooms as recorded by my cameras or my devices. And I specify in each video what it was recorded with. Like if it was a DJI Osmo 3, then I tell you which mics I was using. If it was recorded with my phone, then I'll tell you it was recorded with my phone. So you have a reference to what it's recorded with. This is actually much more informative to you as a listener than it is like what mics did they use to record the Beatles. I bet only very few people know. Or what kind of console they were using in the studio to record, or what monitors they were using. A lot of people might know that because Bowers and Wilkins showcases that all the time, that Abbey Road had Bowers and Wilkins speakers. So for me to say, hey, this was recorded by my camera, this is recorded by this, it gives you an expectation of what this video might sound like and why it sounds a certain way. So the comment that I got was, oh, this sounds very muddied. It sounds like multiple songs. It sounds this and that. I'm like, yeah, well, that's, it's a hotel room. There are people talking in the hallway, in the room, behind the camera. That's what it's like at these shows. It's not going to be perfect. I don't know what people expect when they turn on a YouTube video and then start commenting as if they're surprised by what they find in the video. So to this end, I want to talk about a little bit about that experience, but more focused on brick and mortar shops, stores that you might visit, the differences between, say, like a Best Buy, Magnolia, whatever, big box stores versus a boutique retail, smaller location that can serve your needs. What you might get as a difference between those two and why they would be important. So hello to my regulars. Pixel Castle's here, Mirage is here. Everybody's in the house. True Voice of Reason, not home yet. I'll turn your sound on when I get in. That's cool. I appreciate it. Drive safe, be safe, everybody, wherever you're at. Hello. I'm glad you're all here. Thank you for being here. Oh, that's a cool feature. It actually colors out the comments when I have actually shown them on screen. So that's pretty cool. And it pops the chat out so I can actually use it somewhere else. Interesting. Okay, so first up, what I want to do is bring on this video that I spotted today. I will skip through it as I can, but I still want to mention a couple of things about what's in the video. This is a manufacturing location in, I believe it's Malaysia somewhere. Penang, Malaysia. So this is the Hypex sort of manufacturing location. They do things for Hypex. They do OEM. They also do modules and boards for Mola Mola, which is a very higher end product. So they will build everything to specification at this location. And I want to showcase this as this is what goes into making the products and why things cost a certain way and the level of care that goes into it. Things like QC, standards, testing, facility maintenance, things that really make a difference in your final product when the process is cared for in such a way. When you have a brand that actually knows what they're doing, who takes care and makes special provisions to make sure that the product is in its best state, then you get higher quality yields, and that's very important. So I want to showcase a bit of this. Hopefully the sound is good. You let me know in the comments what it sounds like. I'll walk through it, pause it, play it. Also, if you realize I am subscribed, you see here I am subscribed. I did like the video. I think I commented as well somewhere. But this is a very familiar environment for me because I used to work in a HiFi brand. And I do think that understanding what goes into making something really gives you a perspective on the quality, the results, the prices, the effort that it takes, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, enough of me. Let's hear a little bit from the video.
Come in from suppliers and will be checked by the quality team. So incoming quality inspection. So they take samples, they do the measurements, they see whatever we ordered is the right way.
Which is essential QC on incoming and receiving. You want to make sure that your samples, the suppliers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, that your incoming lots are checked and QC'd correctly. There's the next phase here.
So goods are moved into the warehouse, registered by the warehouse team. As you can feel, stored in a air-conditioned environment. So
yeah, it's very interesting to have an air-conditioned controlled environment, like a separated controlled environment, where a lot of the components before they get manufactured and sealed in to chassis and things like that, they may be more sensitive to certain environmental temperature differences. Thermodynamics affects everything, literally everything. And if you don't have them controlled in a certain way for prep, like pre-assembly, for essential assembly use, also things like static electricity, moisture levels, corrosion levels, before they're sealed into a system, they're more vulnerable to the environment. So it's really cool to see that they have a special warehouse section that is air conditioned, controlled. I bet it's really nice to work in there. That seems really cool.
Both humidity and temperature here are controlled in according with the IPC standards, which is all monitored because we have a temperature meter and a hydrogen meter over there. So this is where everything's stored, registered. Once there's a production run, they will hand out the components and they will be handed over to production.
So they have a lot of racks there for that. Then they move out to the general warehouse. Looks like.
And everything you need, indoor materials, all kind of materials we don't use. So we store here. Different, you feel, it's hot. Yeah. We can cool a bit, we're not cooling it because, yeah, I mean, energy consumption is also important for multiple reasons.
Right. So they have like different sections, things that are not as sensitive. They don't have the air conditioning running and they don't use the power or the energy consumption to actually cool things that don't need to be. So that's very cool. What else? This looks like sub-assembly.
So here you see they prepare the components. They need to adjust and they...
Should I state the obvious? Well, if it's obvious to you, it might not be obvious to the rest of the class. So absolutely. Whatever you observe, go for it. Let's hear the perspective.
They cut off something so they can be used for manual insert and soldering in a later phase of the production process.
warehouse.
Over here, we already do some.
The fact
some heat
what
sink
I like about
assembly.
it that it's very clean, quiet.
Where we do
That's what I like about this.
basically heat sinks as of
So
course,
this
the
is
amplifiers are
sub-assemblies.
generating a lot.
Sub-assembly parts for heat sinks, smaller components. So they're assembled into smaller parts that go into larger parts down the production line. That's pretty cool. So much for quiet. This looks like SMT surface mount technology machines. So they have ribbons of parts on the spools. You see the spools here against the wall. These are mini components, all kinds of your essential component racks. They will use these in a spool. Then the machines will pick the parts from here and then place them onto the pre-soldered boards, or I would say solder paste boards. So they do a lot of.
So here you basically see the birth of a Mola board. So here we have the bare board. And this is the first step. So this board we get in from the suppliers.
So that's a set of, that's multiple boards all strung together with in the same unit, and then they will break them apart in order to part them out to individual units. It looks like to me. Now I don't work there, I don't know the process, but that's what it looks like to me.
It's either to apply solder paste or glue to prepare for the next phase, because in the end it needs to be soldered.
So the name of the board is actually there. So the Mola Bluetooth Smart Ready B04 top. So that means that that's probably a Bluetooth module that gets attached inside some of the units. And what they do is apply the solder on top, and then they pick and place in the SMT machines all the parts and components that go on top. It's a pretty cool process.
So a couple of minutes, we put it in solder paste, then you can start. Just bring one board. Lucky they got this model.
He left the squeegee on the surface. That's unusual. So now what it does is it pushes the squeegee across the surface and pushes solder paste through the etching board, which is essentially what has the name on the side. There's little holes that correspond to the board. And then these components get picked out and placed onto the board. I wonder if they're going to show that part. A lot of places do this. This is pretty standard SMT type of thing for most manufacturing locations now. We'll move it up. We'll show the SMT picking up parts, and then it moves over and places the components down on the surface.
Oh, there it is.
So the laser checks for location, verifies that everything's in the right place. Sorry about this squealing, high-pitched noise. That's
Okay, there we go. Picking up, placing. Picking up, placing.
So these ribbons will have like a series of components that are in a row, and
Picking up some different components.
it uses suction, I believe, to hold the parts, and it has sensors for correct picking and correct placing. Really, really cool stuff. I actually got trained to do this at Anthem in Paradigm. Different machines though. This one's actually has two actuators from either side, different size
Next
components.
machine basically doing doing the same cycle again, but for different components. Depends, of course, how many components we need to place on the board.
Right. So that's really screechy sounding. So let's go into the checking phase. So the quality control phase, where when the board is completed, it goes through a soldering phase, make sure everything's in the right place. Some of the larger components get placed on there. That looks like a large component.
So this here we do she's doing visual inspection of the board, because it's one of the first boards we produce. Visual inspection before it's going through the oven.
Built my Anthem integrated 225. I doubt it. If it was an integrated, no, that was before my time. The MCA amps, that would have been the was it 225? 225, 325, 525. That's an MCA. That's just a power amp, though. That would be a stereo power amp. If it's integrated, then the STR models are some of the ones that I worked on, but 225 as an integrated would have been before my time. So if it's super old, then I didn't work on it. It was only the newer stuff. PVA stuff, the PVA amps, the what's it called? The M amps too, the M1, the monoblock, the Class D rack mount amps, those ones I used to work on. But it was mostly the older Gen MCA amps. So Gen 1, some of Gen 2. But I don't think any of the integrated stuff I ever even looked at. I mean, they were probably not in production by the time I even got there.
So now it's entering the oven.
So in that previous section there, you could see that was somebody inspecting the visual, like where everything was placed on the board. Then it goes through the soldering tunnel, which essentially just heats both surfaces. And then it gets inspected again on the other side. Then there's probably going to be a testing location where it tests.
And here you see from the bare board
the
where we
complete
started, you see
function of the whole
components
board.
placed, you see the chip placed.
They won't be able to touch it yet. But this is actually pretty common for a lot of locations. Will have many machines that are similar to this, at least if it's a supplier or built in-house.
Once this is done, we move to manual insert. So that's over there. So basically we follow a lean manufacturing. So we snake the production in a logical way through the factory.
And that saves production time and movement. So you can produce more of them per time, per component, with QC checks built into place. And it reduces the amount of losses that you'd experience. Lean processing LPS systems are in almost every smart business. So integrated 225 would be 2000. Yeah, that's 8 years. 8 years before I was even there. So way before. Anthem integrated had a volume issue, would go to max volume on its own. Ouch. Wow. Yeah, that's dangerous. And I don't know why that would be. If it's a digital volume, that's a very bad fault. I don't like digital volumes for that reason, because that's a glitch like that can be very expensive. That's more than just the unit. And I wonder if a failed unit like that, they won't pay for your speakers. So you have to be very careful. That's wild. Yeah, that's scary shit too for digital volumes. Pick and place. I think they're going to do manual pick and place.
Inspection, machine inspection over here.
Oh yeah, so they have a
so
laser
basically
inspection.
The machine is programmed in such a way that it recognizes if there's a component missing, or a component is the other way around, placed the other way around,
so
or
upside
down. The machine will reject it. See, she just spotted something. She put a small sticker on. There's an issue there on the board. board will be placed in a reject container, and then it will be moved to a debug department. They will have a look. Whenever necessary, replace the component with the right one.
Right. So in some of the cases, the machines, like, they're using visual inspection, but there's also some boards, like what I experienced is a different process of verification. Before it goes out to manufacturing, they all have to be checked. So now these boards and components have been checked 4 times, and they're not even on the assembly line yet. Think about that.
Even if we placed it in the SMT machines, we still can do manual placement as well.
Yes.
So the ladies are so skilled, they can take it off and replace it with a small component. And some of the components are really small.
Really small.
But they're so skilled in their they're so skilled they know exactly what to do.
Yeah, it's very, very important to do these checks. Now, I think they're moving on to, if I'm correct, yeah. So these are manual. Also, I want to mention to everybody that's watching, if you didn't know, look how many women are on this line. That's a perfect place to pause. They're almost all, like 80% are women.
Boards that are already small components already.
The boss is a white male, but all the other employees are female. But that's also for their dexterity and their attention to details. Also, because it's very light labor. I assure you that if you go out to the shipping department, the receiving department, and wherever there's something heavy, there's going to be a guy standing there.
Placed by the SMTs, and here we place the components that we can only manual place. So the ladies here, in accordance with the specifications, place all the components. They have the components in front of them, and every colleague knows exactly what to place where.
That's like when people tell me they can't solder. I tell them kids do soldering in factories around the world. It can't be that hard. Yeah. It's just practice. And that's the same sort of like self-conscious level of or lack of confidence that comes with anything. And I said this recently to somebody about our ability to walk in the world, just as a person, as a human being. When you're born, through the process of learning how to walk successfully, most human beings don't remember that process. It's too early in our life for our mind or our consciousness to retain the knowledge of what it was like, either being born, going through all of that traumatic stuff when you're younger, under the age of 1 year old. Some people are fortunate and they have some reference, but most people don't. And there's something about that phase of life where you learn how to walk. I said to my friends, and I use this in encouraging moments, like, if you remembered how traumatic and how often you failed learning how to walk, and you retained the trauma of failing how to walk, you would never walk. You would take it so personal and so much like you failed so many times that you would never do it again. But because you're young and you don't have that, you learn how to walk, you persist, and you move through those processes. So with anything new, you're not going to have the confidence to do that. To say I can't solder is one thing, but like Rick Rubin, the producer, says, the proper dialogue is, I haven't done it yet. And you can do it if you practice. Now, that was the same frustration I had with building my DIY crossover boards. Now, there's certain techniques, and I've explained I've worked at places like this where I learned the different technique of working on it. There are jigs, there are certain tools. And if you don't have them, it makes it harder to do, but it doesn't make it impossible. You can learn how to do that. So I would encourage people to rethink about it. Pick it up, try it, DIY something, learn how it's done. And you may have more of appreciation for how it's actually put together like that.
As I explained before, They're very knowledgeable. This is their position already. Some cases already for a couple of years, so they know exactly how to build.
So they have numbered components in front of them for each model. They'll prepare these shelves, or they'll have like a specific number for each model. Models are laid out like this, usually with an indicator and a process of how to lay them out. And they'll manually insert them so the threads or the leads are poked through the board. They will then send them through, or maybe trim them to a certain size unless they're pre-trimmed. Then they send them through a wave solder, and they solder everything to the board underneath. True Voice of Reason saying, from the late 70s to 80s, mom worked soldering computer paraphernalia in a small factory. Yeah, there are a large number of females there. Yeah, it's mild labor work, so it doesn't require a lot of force, a lot of movement. There's a certain amount of like visual dexterity and manual dexterity in your hands. Like think about nail techs, all of the phone line operators back in the day, administrative positions where typing is included, people skills are included. There really is a separation of like labor out there, and it's not to say that it's completely sexist based or like focused, because I'm sure people can do both. But in the Plato's roles in the Republic kind of way, each person to their own best task means that you share the labor, you share the work in a way that works for the whole as a bigger picture. But some people just have better skills. So absolutely. It's the best advice I got was grab a piece of electronics out of the trash and practice soldering. Yeah, absolutely. Using different tools and finding out how to do it. Absolutely. That's a wise way to do it. For those who want, there are more and more ads for building your own components in your system. I'll grab some. Yeah, absolutely. I do want to encourage DIY stuff now that I've got my hands on more and I realize how much value there is. You guys wait until you hear the comparisons from these speakers that I built. The DIY speakers that I built are insanely good for the money and the effort that I put into them versus everything else that I have. There may be some caveats about their extent of their performance, how loud they get, where they play best, their bass, the bass volume, not volume. What am I trying to say? Oh my God. The amount of bass, the depth of bass, that kind of thing, because the driver size is different versus the 6.5. A 5 1/4 is not going to play as low. That's just physics. But other than that, I mean, you can talk about upper frequencies and clarity. Really, really good. And I mean, like, if you could just DIY this yourself and just accept that it's not perfect because you did it yourself, you can't complain about where it's made anymore. Everybody wants to rip and reap on places and other countries and say you're supporting this and that. You want to say buy local. Well, buy all the components yourself and put it together in your living room like I did. And then you have no one to blame but yourself for the quality. Hey, that is what it is. But I do encourage people to do it. You're going to save like 7 times the money, and you're going to learn more from doing the process. So let's move down. I think this is the wave solder here.
If you look up, you see the hot solder.
So that's hot solder pouring out of the top of the machine.
Yes, the connectors are fed through that hot solder.
So all of the leads are poking through the bottom of the board.
Wave soldering. It's a wave of molten solder.
And the solder will probably contains a certain amount of flux as well. And this is pretty standard.
So here you see the machine, you see the boards coming out of the wave solder.
So they go on to another QC phase. They'll bring the boards down to the
components
the
we
board
cover
here.
with specific tape because they cannot be touched with solder. We do it that way.
And then they'll finalize some of the things like plastic caps, some of the glue, certain like support structures, making sure everyth's straight.
And this is also the result of the
Double
quality
checking all of the
commitment.
solder
Everything
points
will be checked.
underneath, clipping all the excess leads. I actually have these exact clipper models. I actually have those. Not here, I don't think. Hold on. Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I have these is because if you see on the one side, it's completely flush. So it's a flush clipper, and they're really, really high quality. These are like $20. $20 for these, made in Italy. And it's this essentially the same ones that they're using here in the video. Let me bring it back a little bit. I'll show you. I'll pick them up here in a second.
And this is also the result of the quality commitments. Everything will be checked.
So can't see the color in her hand there, but yeah, in an earlier phase, the other lady that was there, you could see. Speaking of soldering, super fast.
So some solder point.
There you go. It's essentially the same ones. It's exactly what I'm talking about. The reason why I have them is because I needed them on the job. That's the kind of quality tools that you work with in order to get your job done. It's amazing. If you have the right tools, it makes the job so much easier. So I learned to solder and desolder molding video. Oh yeah, video games and console. Yeah, certainly for mods too. If you can mod the boards or consoles, if you bypass certain things, then you can change the security checks. That's something that I know that was done. Simple tricks like flux and tinning. Yes, absolutely. So it's tricks of the trade. It's not that it's difficult. It's just you have skills. So how did you see what she was working on? What do you mean? I'm not.
Points that are not meeting
Oh yeah, I zoomed in.
the requirements. She picks them up. She have a look.
So there's QC stickers there that are going on the board to say that it was inspected. Let's go further down the line here to final assembly. Let's see if we can check out some of the chassis being put together.
The research and development teams in the Netherlands.
So there's a full amp board being amp tested. So they have multiple inputs and outputs, and the machine runs through the whole sequence of testing at certain volumes and controls everything. And it has a set of resistors and meters that have a standard rating at them, and it just automatically runs through the whole process. Oh yeah, he wasn't even using magnifying or anything. Yeah, it's skills, man. I don't know what to tell you. If you have good eyesight, then you don't really need glasses or magnifying glasses to actually do that stuff. You just pick it up. You can see pretty well with a lot of practice and recognition. Did you see the glasses? Stay out of the sunlight or with them, or you'll start yeah.
So here we
automatic testing units will run through all the components and make sure they're all within specifications and under very tight tolerances mostly.
So it's running all the steps coming from the specific program written by HiPex R&D test engineers specifically for this board.
So the machine just automatically runs all the inputs and outputs and makes sure that they're all under like strict specifications. This looks like an assembly table where some of the components get stuck together or wired together.
We think we can roughly build, if they get more used to building, that we can build 2 per person per day.
Oh, wow. 2 per person per day.
Assembly.
I want to see the size of these units. I used to do 12 amplifiers a day on the Anthem line. Actually, in my ambitious audio fanness, I actually push their production higher than their standards or higher than their quotas for the day. They were set at a certain level, and my ability and just being enthusiastic there, I was able to push the production much higher. It was usually about 150 to 160% of the quotas. Which, sometimes like I don't have to do that, but that just means that I can get through a run and then move on to something else at a much faster pace. And also the knowledge and my like ability to understand what I'm working with was able to teach other people at a faster pace as well. So, I mean, it was really good learning experience. Was looking at a lot of other places that I would like to work. The problem is travel and options right now for me, but I wouldn't mind getting back to it. So just started to need glasses now, vision not working. So working on small electronics. Yeah, it does get to you. Thank goodness, we have our time and then, we move on. So let me see this assembly and see why it takes
we already built a number because we do a number of test versions. They all are going to the Netherlands for research and development purposes. And
some people might recognize the front faceplate for this.
This is basically where we start building them recently.
It looks like the Tambaki.
Yes, we only do test builds for Tambaki here. The rest we don't do.
So test builds, if it's a new product that they have, that looks like a paste she was putting on between the aluminum base plate. So it looks like there's rails, shielding, multiple layers, top to bottom, wiring, harness, testing. The reason why it would take so long, like think about this. If all of these things are assembled by hand, and I need to mention this, all of these components are assembled by hand in warehouses like that. Think about the faceplate, the chassis. Like when you pull something out of a box, like I recently did, and you see something that's not perfect. Okay? Not like pristine perfect. It should be. That's what you want. That's what customers want. But do you realize how slow and how careful you have to move in order to make sure that aluminum doesn't get hit, bumped, anything in assembly? It's very tricky. I have to admit to you right now, it's very tricky. And to think about brands like D'Agostino and Magico and all of these other companies that have products that are very, very large billet aluminum material, copper material, and they're absolutely perfect, flawless, how much money they cost. The reason why they cost that much money is if you damage one of those pieces, what happens to it? It's like they don't have a whole lot of like B stock, you know what I mean? You're just not going to do that. The brand has to either find a way to refinish it or scrap the whole thing and then make a new one. Like some of the places, like the good thing about working with copper and aluminum is you can keep all the scrap and you can actually remelt it and reproduce the part. It's costly, but you can do that. You're not actually wasting anything. Plastic, some of the same. But it does take a lot of effort to make sure that you don't actually touch something the wrong way, because this stuff isn't actually covered in anything. It's not covered in like plastic cases, and when you put it together, it's got to be raw. So you have to be very careful through the whole process. That's why I'd rather pay for a stamp steel box. Don't really care about chassis. I mean, even with stamped steel boxes, there's yes, cool that Anthem stuff is here. And a lot of their suppliers are here as well. So speaking of, some of the chassis work on the Anthem stuff, not easy. That's all I'm going to say, because I'm not allowed to say a lot else. But it's not easy to do, and I know this through personal
These are
experience.
some of the test builds.
So the more
these are the test
sensitive
builds, so they go
material
back
is,
to research and development. That's why they also numbered. And we also see what operator build them.
more careful you have
They
to
can
be.
go to the R&D. They will do their analysis. They will.
So I'm running long with this, but I want to showcase this stuff, because this is where your quality matters. This is where the quality comes in. All of these skilled individuals have processes.
And the other materials
they have
all come from
notebooks.
Germany.
They have testing,
So all the
like
metals come from a German
multiple layers
manufacturer.
of testing.
And they were sent
See
here.
how small that part is?
Of course, the boards we always manufacture, so some parts we already manufacture. You see, and that's a torque screwdriver we were discussing before. So exactly the amount of force is being used, that we make sure that it's correctly tight. Not too tight, not too loose.
So the screwdriver itself is a torque screwdriver, so it will actually release at a certain force. And you don't use a drill for that. You can. So they have a jig to hold it up, so that helps.
Over here,
Yeah, it's a pretty cool sort of thing to see that, like that much effort goes into making these things. And unless you're doing what I'm doing essentially and just browsing through some of the stuff and watching the process, and I love factory tours because it gives me an idea of QC, the level of attention, the inside story on how something was made or developed. Most of the basic assembly stuff is the same. Most will use a jig. Most will have a lean processing phase. A lot of them will have QC at certain phases. It's not perfect, but they will use as best as they can. Now, the thing that makes them competitive, and the reason why under NDAs you're not allowed to talk about certain things, is they're competing with each other for the end of the bottom line. They want to have a process that allows them to manufacture faster, better quality, more reliable, repair certain things, certain tools or techniques that are proprietary, that give each company an advantage. So they don't want to show everything off. So even in that clip, I'm sure there's stuff going on inside that factory that they don't want anybody else to know, because if another manufacturer looks at it, sees what's going on, sees the machine, a lot of his stuff is probably available on the market, then you just take something from another company, implement it, and then you can run it on your own. And that's why a lot of the stuff is NDA and proprietary and secretive, because it is a competition at the end of the day. Anything open source doesn't quite work like that, but that's essentially what's going on there. Yeah, Intel, also, like a lot of chip manufacturing, all that kind of stuff. There's a reason why they're in certain areas like that. One, because of environmental factors. Like if you have you have EPA in the US and you have the same in Canada, where there are certain things to the environment that you're not allowed to do here. Guess who does it? And that's why certain finishes are like cabinets. I didn't start this camera. Webcam, yes. Let me showcase. Hold on. There's a story behind this. I just want to showcase the camera view. So these are new. You guys, I don't think anybody's seen these yet. Sorry about the lights. The lights are all over the place. I can't. These are new. They're done in a gloss finish, and I am not entirely sure, but I'm 100% certain that a lot of the manufacturers do these kinds of like gloss polyester types of finishes in China, in the Chinese paint shops, or in certain places where they're allowed to use the material, because the processing of polyester and whatnot violates some local processing. So they can't do high gloss finishes with multiple layers of lacquer like this locally because of the material use. So that's one thing to consider when people are like, oh, yeah, but where's it made? How's it made? Blah, blah, blah. So the reason why brands have to do that is because if you want gloss and customers want this kind of finish and they want it at a certain level and yada, 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 I want this, I want this, I want this, I want it this quality, I want it this fast, I want it this cheap. Ta-da! Then you know what? The manufacturers have to find an option to make you happy because you're not willing to pay more to have it done locally or whatever the case may be. Stop blaming where it's from. I mean, all of the decisions that have been made about pushing business towards faster, cheaper, better quality, blah, 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 and then get your panties in a twist. No, no offense to that phrasing, but when you're upset about wherever it's made and the quality, and then you blame wherever it's done, that was a business decision to make things cheaper, faster, easier, and save the local environment, right? There's a whole business chain behind that. So I remember seeing Malaysia on Pentium 3, yeah, for a long time. Well, Taiwan and TMCS or TMSC are the number one menu. There's a whole global market economy shift right now behind making new fab locations, trying to do one in Texas, and Intel's got a giant one in Texas that they're trying to do. But you know what? Texas is half a desert. Where are they getting the water in order to do that stuff? The same thing now with data centers. Data centers need power and water. So they can't, they can't just be set up and put anywhere on a whim. It's got to be strategic. They need to figure out how to do it a certain way. And it can't be done everywhere because of the requirements. It's a global thing. And I really want to do, and I want to expose the background for how this stuff is, because it sinks into the way that everybody has conversations in audio, and they have all these like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? They have all folklore, essentially, is what it is. They have these talking points about what they know or what they think about manufacturing and costs and global economy and political blah, blah, blah. And they don't consider how global industry and manufacturing and that kind of sourcing affects the end result, where chassis are made, how they're made, the reason why they're made in certain places, or why this and that's being used, or how critical minerals or like earth elements or all that stuff, it's really all tied together. And it really bothers me to see arguments that are narrow-sighted or ignorant or very biased, and it doesn't consider the actual facts or the actual principles behind what's going on. And they're not really solving anything. It's just two faces and sets of fingers flying back at each other and not really solving anything. So I'd rather have everything made in NA, but that's a pipe dream. Yeah, you can't, essentially, because where do you get neodymium from? Where do you get magnet material from? And there's no way that you could get the manufacturing done at cost in North America. It's just not possible. Also, the kinds of machines that are made are probably patented technology, so you can't get the machines to even make it here. So yeah, it's a pipe dream. Instead of that being the pipe dream, change perspective. Just accept it's a global market and just make the politics around the whole thing better, so that whatever the issues is with being made somewhere else are not an issue anymore. Who gives a shit if it's made somewhere else? Just make the whole thing better. If you go to custom manufacturing for yourself, like Etsy, well, yeah, a platform to sell. You could you could use anything. I mean, you could use Shopify now. You don't need to use Etsy. You could just make your own business. Making kit speakers overnight sensation, selling almost 7 bills. Well, yeah, I mean, if they're good quality and there's a market, then that's the same with anything. You make and you supply low, make it a cost, and then you make, you set your overhead and go from there. It's the same thing everywhere. We just had a data center get denied near us. All the paperwork was extremely sketchy. Of course it is. But also, there's a lot of information coming out now about how false information is sinking into some of these debates. Like, think about, I don't remember what channel it was, but think about the competition I just mentioned in manufacturing, how, there's NDAs to protect how something's done. If you wanted to get ahead with AI in data centers and other manufacturing or whatever, what you would want is to affect the local communities to vote against it so that you can't get it done. If you can't build it there and you can't get it done locally, then who wins? Someone else, someone else in another country somewhere that doesn't have the political voting system. So if you live in a dictatorship, say China wants data centers and they're behind in the race, what you would do is you would send provocateurs, or you would send messages like political messages or whatever to the US to have the US population vote against the data center. And then all of a sudden the US is falling behind. So it's like, are they really bad? Are the data points authentic? Are they, are you exposed to real information, or is it propaganda just to make the community upset at data centers for no reason? So it's really, like, it's sketchy. That's why critical thinking is very important in any topic. You want to understand that, like, are they really doing this? What's the real result? Is it just political? Like, are we fighting with each other over nothing? Or are there valid points, right? Just remember seeing a video on cost of making a factory. Those trouble lights and a source were $1,000 each, or you can get them from China for 20. Yeah, well, there you go. That's exactly what I mean. And the reason why you can do that in places like China and other places like Thailand, Vietnam, India, certain places in Malaysia, is because for the last 40 years or 60 years, North America and Europe have been making those areas of the world the powerhouse. They've asked them to do it, and they have needed to step up their quality. They have needed to push their R&D to meet North American, US, and European standards. So they became the manufacturer of the world because you just outsourced it. Whose decision was that? That wasn't the public. Kind of the public, because if you say I want it faster, cheaper, better, the only way to get all three of those is to send it to a place where they can break some rules or pay people next to nothing to have it made. And then at the flip side, you want to go and protest while wearing shoes that were made over there. Like, good job. Completely, hypocritical. Let me bring this one up. This is a short video here. I just want to go through. It showcases Stark sound subwoofers, and this is a bit of like integrating your subs and making your space sound better. Now, I don't want to use too much of this because I do respect this user creator, and I just want to showcase a little bit about, skip the ad. We'll showcase the back of the unit, and we'll just talk a little bit about integration.
Input and XLR if your or processor supports balanced. You also get a switch for auto on-off.
So this automatically for me shows that this is not an app-based subwoofer. This is all manual controlled. So that means if you do any adjustments, you can either do it in a receiver or a unit. Say, like, very few processors actually have like preamps, 2-channel preamps have Dirac or other, like Room Perfect in the Lingdorf system, or Dirac in the NAD systems, or even like a mini DSP that's between those systems in order to integrate your sub properly. With an app, you can do it and set a lot more points like SVS. Well, here, if you see these knobs, it means it's manual and you have to set your crossover points, so low pass, and your phase and volume control. This is a variable phase, which is actually really cool. So
Over phase, all
I do appreciate that. Not a fan of subs that do ADC DAC. So which subs don't have, I think we talked about this before. And I'm wondering, like, Rel does one of these like high level input through analog boards. And the reason that a lot of people don't like ADC DAC is latency. They end up being slow. And that's true. The newest SVS subs actually have a very, very fast processor. So the latency on their subs is much, much improved. I don't know to what degree, but it's certainly not perfect. But yes, I understand this point. Subs that have the ADC, so taking an analog in via RCA or XLR, converting it to whatever DSP is internally, and then converting it back to analog for the woofer itself. Yeah, it takes time and can create some issues. So plus I spent money on the DAC. I'd rather hear my DAC. Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about like what frequencies are you hearing? Like this is the really questionable thing I have to push back on with sub users is, are you really hearing much detail out of a DAC, any DAC below 80 hertz in a system? I fucking doubt it. And I would love to see a blind test to prove it. It's one of those folklore things that because I know how it works, I have this theory in my head. I project the results, but I don't know that people actually hear it.
all physical knobs, no apps here. There's also not going to be any built-in room correction. You're going to be dialing this in by ear, or you're going to run RU, or you're going to let your AVR do the work. And I think that's perfectly fine. Most people in this hobby,
so he's got two of them here.
Those things cost money to develop. If you want room correction, you're going to have to bring your own here. And I think that's perfectly fine at this price point.
Yes.
Also, most people in this hobby already have something that can handle it. And
so
pressurizes a room exceptionally well.
These are really
hard,
nice drivers, like
genuinely low.
Stark sound.
And
The
for
reason
music,
why
it's
I haven't
honestly
gotten
way
these,
better
like
than
in
the
my space, I thought about it multiple times, and I've met with some of the Stark people, and I know a few friends and creators that have good relations with them. But the reason why I didn't go with this brand, because trying to get them shipped and up to Canada is ridiculous. Even when they're on sale, like they're pretty good price. They're $5.99 US, but the shipping to get them up to Canada is crazy, where a lot of the other brands that I've chosen to go with have retailers or distributors that are here in Canada already. So it makes the whole process easier for me. Can spend that on driver and box easily. Yeah, well, exactly. If I DIY my own subs, then I can just like mini DSP and power separate, which is what I'm contemplating right now, is actually having my own DIY subs. One design already proposed and a couple of others that already have box kits. So yet to be determined.
Your speakers are probably not the problem here. Most speakers doing real work below 80 hertz are working harder than they need to, which means they're going to be compressing, there's going to be some distortion. They're doing all the things, that's hurting everything else above it.
Right. So I think what happens is, I think the whole point of this video and what I'm going to say is, if you high pass your main speakers so that the bass signal isn't even going to the speakers, then they're not encountering what I think and what my impressions are. The mid-range frequencies don't have to fight through the bass wave of the driver. That's one thing. And I have 3 ways here, which makes it a lot easier. The subs, the woofers here are only doing 300 hertz or lower, and the mid-range is handling everything else. So it's already separated, but that means the crossover network is a little more complicated. So if you're high passing your main speakers and your subs are taking care of everything else, what happens is the impedance to the amplifier through the whole range has less effect on your mid-range. That's my impression of what's going on. That's from my understanding of it electrically. If you don't have the force feedback impedance dips and swings of a woofer moving through its impedance, it's not going to affect the mids. And I mean, there are measurable differences. If you high pass or don't, you can see it show up on charts where the distortion or intermodulary distortion is different. So that's where crossing over to subs in a certain way is good. But I don't think that the benefits are going to be the same if you're not high passing your mains. I think that this integration, this opinion that subs make your highs sound better, it only works if you're high passing your mains. If you don't high pass your mains, they're still running full range. And then you're having like bass nulls and other integrative issues. So you have to integrate your mains and your subs in the same frequency range, especially if it's under 80, or like mine in my room, they're only doing 40 and below because the towers reach 35. So I don't want them doing the same work. The towers are doing most of the work and the subs are just filling in underneath where the towers give out, but they're not high passed. I'm just using my ears to tweak them. So that was a little bit of sub integration. Now I want to move through this, which is an unboxing here of the Arundels. So the sealed DIY subs are hard to mess up. Yeah, certainly because the phase and the output on a port also causes some other problems. So I have sealed SVS now, and if I do any DIY subs, they will also be sealed because the roll off is easier for me to work with. I like how they project a certain way. I don't like the boomy nature or the bump of a port on a sub. I never have. I've always liked sealed subs. So that would be my direction if I did. And you don't have to worry about port and tuning and all that kind of other stuff to work with on a sub. You have to add all this stuff. They're usually bigger as well, so you can seal a small sub depending on the frequency tuning you want. Yeah, definitely. So let me see. That's why I understand REL, no high pass filter on mains. Yeah. So REL is, I don't know what REL's system is because I know they have a different kind of, you're running high level to the amps, and the amps are processing their lower frequency, but you're running full range to the mains. So how are they augmented, right? Like the integration's a little bit different from running anything else. And it's not like a receiver or running bass management because it's not processed the same way. You want fast subs, but how do you integrate, right? You have to do it by ear, or you have to be really lucky, a big room. So this is an unboxing here of the Arundel Towers. They were featured at Expona, and we'll just give it up here to AV Obsessed to just talk their way through this unboxing process. I want to have a good look at this too, because I've thought about what would my next towers look like? What would I do? Do I see myself going back to Arundel because I really enjoyed the first pair? I'm really happy now with CAF, but you know how this hobby is. So let's check this out.
1610 Tower 8s, and they sounded pretty fantastic. So I had to talk to the people in the room and got their contact information and reached out, and they said that they would send me a pair of the 1610 Tower 8s for a review.
Yeah, TS parameters, awesome. Very now, smart to know.
They're not mine to keep. These are on loan from Arundel. I get to use them for the duration of the review period, which is probably going to be about 90 days.
So fast forward this. We don't need the whole dialogue.
Because that.
Look where the center channel is. Look how high the center channel is. Wow. Great speakers, though. These I think these are D2s, 802s. I think 801s are the 10-inch woofers. These are 8-inch woofers. Pretty good system for sure. So turn down the sub. There's no, that's to augment with the sub rather than make the sub do everything. Turn down the sub. I'm not really sure what you mean. Anyways.
Would be crazy. My back, the spikes.
So the foam there, they have all of the accessories, the grills, everything laid out on top, booklet, and then you can take the whole foam pad off the front with everything sitting inside.
Like that.
That's
So
pretty
I'm going to
cool.
set that whole nice piece of foam that has all the accessories.
So that's why the
off to
box is so
side.
deep, but then they're also curved.
And I do have the speaker facing upwards.
So that's a very, very interesting thing here. You see what he's doing.
And I do have the speaker facing upwards.
So very gently he's touching, because you can't tell which side the speaker's facing up. Some brands, I would say, like, put a sticker on it. Say like drivers on this side, like one sticker, so people know like the drivers are here. Don't just throw your hand into the speaker like that, because you might poke something. I've done the same thing with some of my unboxings where you have to feel where the drivers are. So you're not shoving your hand in the driver when you're lifting it out of the box. A lot of shit can go wrong when you don't know which, that's why you don't jump into like murky water. You don't know what's underneath it. Don't drive through murky water. You don't know how deep it is, stuff like that. Same thing with the speakers. If you can't see the drivers, you need to be very careful about which side the drivers are on before you start moving things around. I see what's going on in conversation here. The other thing that bugs me in subs next to speakers. In what way? Because it's not ideally placed, or maybe it is, because how do you know? Everyone at Rel say turn down the sub till you can't hear it. I think there's well, yes, because the integration, that's also personal. I don't see, I mean, think about guys that have car audio based systems, right? If you want more bass, turn it up. Stop fucking listening to other people who don't listen to your system. It's your subwoofer system. It's your system at home. I mean, like, who gives a shit what somebody else is telling you to do? Put it wherever you want. Listen to it however you want. Listen to it as loud as you want. You want more bass? Turn it up. You want even more bass than that? Add more subs. It's your system. Like, who has the God-given right to tell anybody else how it's supposed to sound? Like, as long as you like it, that's enough. There are physical and technical things you could say, but that's not how this shit is phrased. I'm sorry. If you're making a scientific debate, then you can talk about how the physics makes something this way or that way. But like, can't hear it, that's subjective. Better, best, that's subjective. I mean, it's I don't know if it's just me, but this annoys the shit out of me, is the phrasing and the words that are used in arguments from people who have an opinion rather than scientific knowledge. It's so muddy, and it actually creates more nonsense than is beneficial. Not in this case. You guys are fine. I know what you're talking about, and I can translate because I understand enough, but think about the people who don't know enough. They're new in the hobby. They're buying stuff because brands have advertised it. They get it home. They don't know why it sounds a certain way or this way or that way. They're not even sure if it's set up right. You're told, get a U-Mic 1, get REW, get this, get that, get a microphone stand, do this, make sure the mic is, suspended from the floor. You don't want the bass feeding back into it's like, there's so many aspects of the physicality of audio that I wish people would just be a little more detailed. It would help everybody. Sub placement is room dependent, 100%. You need to find the best spot with measurements. Not necessarily. Your ears are measurement tools. Just slapping the next to speakers is crazy. Well, some people don't have the option. You ever tried to argue with a spouse about that? This also is why they have phase control, room correction, DSP control. Not everybody has the same, you know what I mean? Like, and so what would you say? This is the same kind of like top down gatekeeping, like, oh, you're doing it this way, you're crazy. Like, take it easy. That's where my subwoofers are placed. It sounds fucking great. So I don't understand this phrasing. You know, it's like it really is like condescending to look at somebody else's system and say that's crazy, meaning the person has no idea what they're doing. So everything in audio is personal, 100%. It is. There is physics to it, and physics isn't personal. So there's no hard or fast rules that are absolute. And that part I disagree with, because physics is just physics. There is a real physical law to things. So yes, but it depends on how you're saying it. This is not physics. This is just biased. So sub crawl is definitely one way to pick up on, you know, a way to hear where it sounds balanced, best, personal taste, subjective, whatever you think it sounds okay. This is very effective. I like to see, it's like people see subs next to speakers in videos and shows and think it's right. Yeah, that's true. But like, here's my counterpoint to this. What do you say to people who have full range towers, 2 speakers, who have the speakers set up in the room where they are? What do you say to those people and bass? You have to set the speakers up like that because of soundstage. So what is the difference? It's physics or physics. Yeah, each situation is unique, which is why they are not fully absolute. So yes, 100% it's subjective. And that's why I have contention with people that sound like this. Again, I don't want to make this personal, but you guys are using the words. It could be right. You don't know what this room sounds like. You're just looking at the photo. How do you know this isn't the best place? Maybe in this room, because it's open in the back, he's sitting 3/4 of the way into the room. It's asymmetrical to the left or right. That's the whole problem with people judging with their eyes and criticizing people they don't know in a room you haven't been in. Just by looking at it, you don't know what it sounds like by looking at it. It might be right for them. This pisses me off. This isn't the right way to talk to people. It's not even the first time that something has been said like that on stream that I really don't agree with, because it comes out the wrong way. So what do I say? It's all personal. And because you don't really know what's going on with the room, it might actually be the best spot. Would be a miracle if best spot was next to speakers. Yeah, but you didn't answer my other question. Stereo speakers have to be in a certain place. They have to be left, right, in front of you, certain distances. If they're full range, all the bass comes from those places. So then what would you tell those people? Oh, that's not the right place to set up the speakers. And then what are you going to do? Move them around a family room? And then you're going to get into places like, oh, then the only right way to set up a speaker system is in a dedicated room designed with the right spacing and sitting in the right place. So only people who can afford specific rooms set up in the right way, at the right locations, with the right measurements, only those people have accurate sound systems. And then nobody's in the hobby. I don't know about that. So the whole point of subs, put them where they output the sub response you want. There you go. Critical part you want. And you don't get to tell anybody else where they want it. Right?
Right now. Yeah, I could see. Oh, I don't know what it's sitting on. Oh, the bag is tied at the bottom. Okay. That's the
He's
bottom. That's the top.
winded now.
I might have to cut this. Well, no, I don't have to. This is going to be one of the jankiest videos on my channel. That is a big port plug.
So yeah,
Holy
these
cow.
are ported on the bottom,
You can
and
reach your
again, this is
entire arm
for
up inside of that port.
like
I believe
base
I'm going to leave the port
response.
plug out because I want the extension that these things
and move the
rubber
camera. So you
feet
need
that
a
they
lot of
include
space to actually do
attached.
this.
I
This
am
is
super impressed
actually a
with
pretty
the
big space.
hardware that these guys include
Yeah,
with their
and
speakers.
These footers are actually really, really substantial. Check out that really, really good high quality like aluminum footers, and they actually have like built-in isolation pads, so you can actually like suspend them or isolate them from the floor. Really, really cool stuff. Now this is the 1610, so they take a lot of influence from the 1528 series
Attached.
design.
There it is. This
the
thing is
geometries.
massive. It actually, it might be even taller than my B&Ws.
Oh yeah, just measure it
It's
from your
actually
hand out in
taller
front
than
of
the
you.
B&Ws. That's crazy.
What is that on top
Not
of the
heavier
speaker?
though. These are about 100 pounds each than my B&Ws. It's legitimately like something I
What
could
is
see
that
people doing.
on top of the speaker? That's weird. He just pulled that off, and you can see that right away. So is that from? No, because he opened it from the bottom. What is that?
There it
See if
is.
he moves it away or anything.
Taller than the B&W. Basalt finish. They are some really nice looking speakers. And then you got the tweeter and this waveguide here, and then you got a 5-inch woofer underneath this little grill. And then we got, that's one side.
It's still there.
Slip on me
Interesting.
when
I don't know what that
I'm
is.
gonna lean it up. Thoughts. Obviously, they're not broken in yet or anything like.
I don't think we're gonna get an answer. Very interesting to see like what that is on the speaker. I noticed everything. Anyways, yeah, 1610s, Arundel's pretty cool stuff. I wanted to move on to some news. Actually, I'll do this way. Share this one. You guys may have seen or not, I don't know, but Eversolo teased today that they have a T10 coming out. So this is a transport streamer 10, a new streamer up above the T8 that came out a little while ago. So now you have flagship top level streamer above the T8. So transport streamer that you can use. They have a T or a Z10 DAC that came out. So now the combination of those basically is flagship level streamer, flagship level DAC, all in a separate box rather than like my unit, which is an A10, which has some of the same DAC technology, some of the streamer technology, but like removed that they did in the T8 or the Transport 8. So now there's two units that are separate that I could probably get in my system, but I really don't need to upgrade anymore. So I don't think I'm going to be doing this. So yeah, that's the new news that I saw that we'll be showcasing in Vienna, June 4th through 7th. So that's coming up. Really interesting there. Something else I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, visiting stores. My long time, well, not long time, but my local shop here does, you know, they have their own channel. Shout out to Adrian and his team at Audio Excellence Canada. They do these videos where they talk about like all the used haul stuff. So they have lots and lots of different product that come in from all over the place, different estate sales, different downgrading sales, and they talk about stuff. So in these videos, they talk about all the products that come in. They showcase all the details.
And we send.
So there's the details there that you can get in touch with them. So they walk through all
I
these
think both
products.
speakers, right at the very bottoms, there are little
Wild.
scuff marks. The drivers are in great shape. The speaker sounds amazing.
So Magico, I think these are S. Yes, absolutely. Mirage was there recently, and it was. I mean, you call them up ahead of time, ask them if they have certain speakers you want to hear. They can set them up for you and spend time with you and walk you through the process. Talk about all the technologies. It's more like a, one-on-one session rather than it just being like a walkthrough where people don't know you and they don't. This is more personal and definitely worth the time to do this. I think it's great.
And I'll just give you some of the details. They use. Now, first of all,
Oh yeah,
there are
Magico,
no crates. So
incredible.
If you want to buy them, best weigh 195
then
pounds each.
the
For
M1s, the Mirage
$11.50
speakers.
US
That's
dollars.
the prices for the M1s. Crazy. The Mirage, yeah, the Mirage speakers, exactly. Classic speakers, M1s, bipolar. What's really interesting is like there's a story about Mirage design and definitive technology. I don't know if you guys know the background to that, but yeah, there's some history there and why they look the same.
Or 1,500 Canadian dollars.
That's crazy.
Physical
good
shape,
deal.
I would, just because of the age, call them good. We've tested it. They sound.
So they have
really,
quads
really
there,
because
original
Mylar is so
quads.
light. Was an
I believe those
ex-BBC engineer,
are.
and then it was bought by Ellen Shaw, who has continued the philosophy ever since. One of the interesting things about Harbeth
speakers.
is that they use very light cabinet materials and then dampen the panels to control the resonances as opposed to
So my whole point to showcase this is you can get a lot of personal service, walkthrough, treatment, very high quality gear. These guys have been in business for a long time, so they know a lot about what they're doing here. This is a way to build a relationship and find some of the coolest stuff. If you have a really good relationship with a store like this, you have like basically an inside track to good deals because they're going to be direct with you rather than try to sell to like a huge mass market, right? Buying used from a shop is definitely better than dealing with the public. In some cases, you're absolutely right. You can probably price differently with the public because they don't have a shop to pay for, but you can trust a shop more because they need to represent their business. So yeah, it's a 50-50. So I have a shop about 45 minutes away, got to stop in 100%. These businesses really need the support. And if we want to talk all of this mess about supporting local and doing this and that, that's how you do it. You shop local with stores that have this kind of level service and availability. I mean, look at all the stuff that they have. In some cases, I imagine it depends on how you're doing it, but some of them have overheads they have to meet where the public generally doesn't. But anybody wise in the public is going to price them the same as a shop because why wouldn't you? But yeah, that's the one thing I wanted to talk about. So something else I wanted to share that's aligned with that. Let me move this stuff over. Is another shop that I went to recently that showcased the Lin products that you guys have seen on my channel. I did a video that showcased the Lin 360 speakers. This is another shop that's in my area. These guys are what I've always called my audio godfathers. They're three Italian brothers who have been in business now 40 years. This is some of the photos from that event. The whole shop was set up to welcome Lin and their reps to talk about the new 360 speakers. These are just some shots from that store. If you guys are not familiar with Audio One, they are in the north side of Toronto, basically Concord, Ontario, Concord, which is north of Toronto on Steeles Avenue. Very nice shop. They're very welcoming. They've got lots of selections of stuff out here. Very nice store. And it's just a set of photos that I took while I was there in-house. A selection of Paradigm, Bowers & Wilkins, Lin, obviously now. They have Totem Acoustics, Bryston, Moon, Sim Audio, and a few other brands. There are, I mean, they are select in what they choose to represent at the store, keeps it kind of simple, but all quality stuff. And they set out this really nice event there for everybody. So again, to support local and go out and see these things in person, you have a better chance to listen to something that is going to sound better when you're in store with someone rather than being in a larger location. Certainly better than a hotel. If you really want an experience, you should go to one of these places that have better rooms set up. One, it'll be a better experience, and two, it'll most likely sound better as well. I can't even remember what lens I was using here. I think this was one of my smaller ones. No, this was probably my bigger lens, so I wasn't able to get up close. Very nice stuff. So anyways, the video for this is posted already. So yes, and that this is true. Mirage is saying you could bring your own music as well, and that's absolutely true. We did actually, I did manage to get a number of requests. I did 2 or 3 songs or something like that. So they were using streaming to get some of the songs that I wanted in there. But you can bring your own CDs or vinyl if you set everything up. Just call them ahead of time and say, "Hey, I hear you have this product. Would you mind if I stop by at this time?" Whatever. Let them set things up for you. Then you can go in and listen to the music and have a more personal experience. And chances are you're going to get more out of a personal experience from a shop like that than you would going to an audio show. But both are important because in an audio show, you have an equal spread of products in shitty rooms. So you can go through and listen to them in compromising positions. And when you bring it home, it's going to definitely sound better because those rooms are not tuned right. And they have maybe 1 day or 2 to set them up. So they're not going to sound the greatest. I definitely recommend going to the shops. This is something that I want to encourage more and more is get out there and visit your local shops because they're going to serve you better in the long run. This must be one of the longest running electronic retailers in Canada. Audio One, and there's a couple of other smaller brands. Like near me, there's a guy running, it's called Audio Empire. The same basic timeline. So like PSB speakers, Paradigm speakers, they're on their 45 anniversary right now. A couple of other brands in Canada also. Bryston is in their 50th year. So some of the retail locations started coming out in HiFi just after these brands started. They needed retailers, right? So that's where these things have all started. But yeah, definitely something to respect about Canadian hi-fi. Also, for the number of brands that came out of Southern Canada, Southern Ontario, amazing number of speakers and research that came out of here. Audio Empire is an amazing, love that. Yes, exactly. So Audio Empire is still there. I went up to visit him. He still repairs stuff. He's got his techs that still do repairs on some gear. Really, really cool stuff. Yes, exactly. Audio, exactly. And I can't remember his name now. I got the card a little while ago. There is a video or at least some photos of that shop on my channel somewhere. Way back on my Instagram. The Instagram doesn't have folders, so you can't just look for. Maybe I can actually set up folders on my Instagram. But yeah, Audio Empire, Audio One, Audio Excellence, and a number of other stores that are around Toronto. These smaller shops, True Tone. Babler Radios, the big famous one downtown. Yeah, and lots of others in the surrounding areas. I mean, a lot of the friends that are like Corby's Audio in Kitchener, and there's places in London, Ontario, and Cambridge, and Waterloo area, and Harkin Audio that's out there, and like there's lots and lots of audio shops and brands in my area. But this is the thing about your own local area. You have to like do dealer research, to do a dealer locator and find out where everything is in your local area. the only way or the best way to support is to know where they are. And if you hear someone in the business, you say, hey, I know a shop, it's down here, like where are you located? And send your friends and people to these locations, because I mean, that's the best way to experience this stuff. And it serves everybody better to learn from people with the knowledge rather than, even myself, because I mean, I may know what I know, but I don't know everything. So to have as many resources as possible serves us all better in the long run. So I would definitely recommend that people do that. Learn where everything is at, and get out there and experience stuff in a different way. I remember seeing Bryson at Babel Radio when I was a kid. Probably not anymore. I don't think they have it anymore, but yeah, definitely. I mean, history and times change, but still important part of our history here. So nothing here, and this is why I planned a trip to Toronto and Audio Fest. Yes, another good way for locals to plan that's an efficient way to do it, because you get to hear so many more products at one show than you would traveling to shows in different places, and it makes it for like an interesting trip. So that's absolutely, Audio Fest is a really, really good way to go about things. What I want to do right now, we're going to move into this phase. I'm going to play through my release radar now in the last half an hour. We're going to try to move through this pretty quickly. Seems like a lot of electronic music. There's some metal that's in here I can see. The Hans Zimmer's in here, T-Square's in here, Periphery. So this is a mix of drum and bass, metal, soundtracks. It looks like it's pretty well rounded. So if you all want to hang out with me for a little bit more, this will get clipped in the rerun. The whole first part of the video will stay as a video, and then this live will, the full run will be different. So they need either Bluetooth or 3.5 RTS inputs. Some of them, hold on. They'll need, what is this referring to? They'll need either Bluetooth, 3.5 RTS inputs, and some of the music I have is only digital, and only a few so you're talking about a way for you to connect to a system at a store, because you don't have, it's not on CD, it's not on vinyl, it's not on streaming. So you would need like an input. That makes sense. So would you bring what? You bring your own hard drive? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Did you see the video of the showroom of Winnipeg Audio? Altitudo Audio. Altitudo has, I know those guys. I know Leonid and his team very, very well. They just finished like 7 or more rooms that showcase all kinds of stuff. Phone or player. Okay, digital players. Yeah, you probably not want to do like TRS inputs from. Anyways, stop being so complicated. Pick something else, for God's sakes. But I know what you mean. Like if you're going to bring your own stuff and something you're familiar with, then it gets complicated when you can't just plug anything in at a shop. They're not going to allow people to come in and just plug devices in. That's not how it works. But I understand what you mean. But yeah, don't bring a CD. God, find something on CD and bring that. You don't have to bring in and force the most complicated way to get a demo at a shop. God. Altitudo, I was pleased. Please be here in Ontario. No, yeah, Winnipeg. It's way out there, and for us, that's a long drive. For me, that's like a day drive, 24 hours or more. True voice of reason. You don't say you like being complicated. Yeah, I know most of us do require a filter. All right, so let's get into this. This is the release radar section. Will be cut out of the main video. I appreciate everybody who's been here. Let me know what the volume is like. I've got it at about half. Should be equal or a little bit less than my voice, but let me know in the chat. We'll go with this first song and then let me know how it sounds. Again, only 30 seconds for each. We'll just move through it quickly.
Quicker this way. 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 This move will kill you. Quicker this way.
Some pretty nice bass on that one.
This move will kill you. Quicker this way.
Not a bad song. Mirage is saying I had just made a playlist by title and they could get to it on their own phone and play music. Easy way to do it. 100%. I do the same thing. If I want like certain demos done, then I pay for a service called Soundease, which is Soundiiz, which transfers my playlist between platforms. So if I have something that's on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Qobuz, Tidal, wherever the hell the music is, Soundease is a program where you sign in to your platform and then you can move the whole playlist onto a different platform. So if the persnickety complicated people don't like Spotify for whatever their bias reasons are and say it sounds like ass, then you can find the same playlist I have on Spotify on Qobuz because I move it there. Or if you're, a Tidal person, then you can find it on Tidal because I've moved it over there too. It just makes it easier. I want to make it easier for other people. And certainly if I'm going to a place, I don't want to bring anything with me. Like I don't know if you guys remember, but I had the one person that came over to visit and listen to the speakers that I had sold, but they brought their own preamp DAC because they were very used to how it sounded. And I was like, oh my God. I know people in audio are pretty like, but the sound of my room would change more than the DAC would make. So, I sold the speakers, so whatever. Okay, next tune. How's the volume? Are you guys cool? Everything sounds okay? I use Soundease also. Yeah, it makes it so much easier. Soundease is a great platform to switch and transfer music. Tune my music. Oh, okay. That's cool. Same experience selling speakers. Hey, if you want them sold, you got to do what you got to do, man. It is what it is. Audio and Baroque. Wow. Wow. Let's push it a little bit. Same song. Wow, that's a little more aggressive than I'm used to. How's the volume, by the way? I don't want to have it too loud for anybody out there listening. Does it sound cleaner through the browser or through microphone? Does anybody, how do you find the stream? Like, if this isn't really up to satisfaction, then there's not a whole lot of point that I do these things anymore. So please, feedback is good. Spotify has the best playlist and AI, in my opinion, so I transferred to Tidal. Yes, I've always said the same thing too. They've set up their platform where it's really easy to navigate. The UI is easy. It's also got a lot more of the genres of music that I like. So I search for a lot of music on Spotify to curate the playlist, and then I transfer off for quality, which is so stupid. I wish that it was better, but it just isn't. And then the other thing, sound is good. Thank you very much. The other thing too is Spotify now, I don't know if you guys saw this in the news, but they just made a deal with some agencies to include a massive amount of AI music. So the mixed playlist now is going to be more saturated with artists that are not real people. So at first what would happen is people like myself or my friend at Jackal Designs or that artist that I talk about, Fine Print, he's sometimes in the released songs. It's a real person prompting AI to make a certain song. Like people are still making decisions on how it sounds or what the song ends up like, or maybe writing the lyrics in and then allowing the program to render it for them. The same way that, like, drum machines were used in the 80s and synthesizers were used instead of real instruments. The synthesizer keyboard took over the place for part of the band, right? You could get rid of a guitar player, drummer, you could get rid of other people, and the drum machine and the synthesizer took over for part of the band. That happened. We know that happened. That's a thing, and then it also allowed more people to make music. So you ended up with more artists. It made making music easier, but you still had to play the machine. You still had to program it. It wasn't done automatically. Now it's automatic. Now you just write the words in, and the AI LLM, the large language machines models, they know what you're talking about. They know the references of all of our language. So now the words are like the notes. The words now become like writing music. So you could just prompt something that's either simple or complicated, and the render machine now does the whole thing, does the vocals, does all the instruments, does all the mastering and techniques. It copies everything that's out there, and it draws sound examples from everything that's in the world. The problem that I have with it is when I was doing it and my friends are doing it, they're telling you, I have done this with AI. But Spotify has now signed off on a legal window, I'm going to call it, where they are allowing AI itself, like agencies, like it's not a real person at all. It's set up in such a way where the agent itself can develop and make music and turn it over. Like they could do 100 songs in a day, and it ends up in the playlist, and then it mixes in where you don't know what's what. That I have a problem with. I mean, I don't have a problem with people using tools to make their life easier, make something a little simpler, to understand something a different way. I don't mind that because technology's done that forever. I mean, we were able to build civilizations because of aquifers, right? True Voice, that one's for you, bud. We were able to get over and build against our environments because of technologies. Now, this has never been so subtle that you can't tell the difference anymore. It didn't mimic reality. You could see where things were being made. A table saw was obviously not a hand saw. A jigsaw was not a scroll saw. Like they were physical in a way. Now it's moving into a digital form where it's replacing a lot of intangible things, and it's not labeled. Like when you buy food, it tells you what's in it. It's a big deal. So I still like Spotify for how it's put together, but they're opening a whole can of worms with this, like allowing so much AI and not showing people what it is. Yeah, I'm not a fan of hearing it either. And I mean, I don't want I want to turn away from Spotify in general, not support what they're doing, but at the same time, so much of my interaction, like they've got me by the gills, hooked in this music atmosphere now because I don't have an option. I don't have the same kinds of options because some of the music that is loaded onto the platform by performers that I want to hear, it's not anywhere else. So yeah, it's very complicated. YouTube videos too, same thing. Synth looks like Gary Wright in the 70s and Thomas Dolby late 70s to current, all electronics by them alone. Change of times, man. I just wish it was labeled, you know. Anyways, moving on with the songs. Thank you guys for enduring that little injection. We're at about an hour and 46, so I'm going to push this just over 2 hours just to get through these songs. I'll skip through them where I can. Let's move it to a minute. Oh, that's dirty. I want to add that to my list. I like that. All right, let's check out the next one. We'll push to a minute, 50 seconds. So I'm missing the drops. This is Enei and QZB. Oh, Blade Runner. This is one of my favorite artists. I'm not going to fast forward this one. I love Blade Runner's music. He's got such a vibe. This will be worth it, I promise.
You see me, you know? These are you just murder you with tune. I mean, murder you with my mouth. I'm going to murder your blood clot in here tonight.
Oh, gosh. Ooh. That's a dirty drop. You hear that bass line that comes in, the clean bass line?
I'm going to murder your blood clot in here tonight.
This is why I love Blade Runner. If you didn't know any better, it would sound like your subwoofer blew up and all you hear is that flutter on the back end. That's so funny. All right, next up, move to 30 seconds. Magus toilet sounds.
I love rhythm.
Lots of bass on that. Let's move down. This one's metal. Meshuggah. I don't know why this is on release radar. This should not be on release radar. This is a very old album. Has a pretty good breakdown here, though. Love Meshuggah. It's one of my absolute favorite metal bands. They have been since 1998, 2001. Amazing. Very unique, though. Let's move to 40 seconds.
On a replicated source, told her I can't stay.
Wings and Verbs.
Yeah,
And still I never stray from the course. Gain more than I bargained for. Ain't it strange? Kept to my aim, still carving my
Nice,
thoughts.
almost
I need
liquid
a
drum and
fresh
bass.
air.
Almost
It was harsher I walk.
not
Few
quite.
parts that I left out. Let me guess why.
Move down. This is Bambi by Token, Connor Price. This is hip hop. Pretty good production. Heavy bass there.
Here's what it is, though. Dip like I'm Jim Jones. I don't got a chin, but I window spit like a flip mode. Carrying a cash flow back so full that I'm twisting a wrist bone, twist to the wrist.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not all that much of a fan of modern hip hop, but I will hold a candle to the lyricists and those who can rhyme fast or well written, and you can hear everything they're saying. So if the hip hop is done with like proper enunciation and word clarity, I'm a fan of. But if it's all like that's my example. If it's all mumbling, like get some skills, speak properly. That's just me personally. Moving on. Night Wake. This sounds like metal. 406 listeners a month. It's either a really new band or it's AI. Yeah. Pretty good. Actually, sounded pretty well. So here's the thing with Spotify, you can look at the credits. So you have the main artist, then you've got composition, lyrics, you've got like different composers, production, editing, engineering, all different people that have worked on the album, performers, all this background information, sources. So the record label, LLC, the company, all that stuff is here. So if you really want to know who or what you're listening to, you can actually look it up. And there's a way where like, if you don't want to hear from this artist, you can go to their main page and block them out. So you could just manually, which is fucking annoying, manually delete the AI slop. I wish there was an automatic, like, don't show me any. Like, I don't want to hear it. This is Tice, one third of Noisia. This is his solo work.
When the beat drops, yeah, we getting feeling kind of hot, feeling kind of geeky.
Can you click on those names to search? Yes and no. I mean, I might use Google. It's always good to have a different source, because if you're searching within the same field, then it could just be self-serving. So it's always good to search like multiple different ways just to find out. Wow, this is awesome. Oh, this is so good. Holy shit. This is going into my EDM list. All right. Thistle by Skrillex. Skrillex has always been that #1 artist for sound design. Really, really cool stuff. So we are 11 tracks out of 30. So we're going to move through this pretty quickly here. usually hear an artist on a jazz track I like and I search for more about. Absolutely. I think there is. On mobile, there's more options. This is a pretty cool mix of sounds. So I'm gonna skip Hans Zimmer and play the next one out. Ghostwriter. So this sounds to me like it's AI. Ghostwriter, Franklin Leonardo, Fabian Nunes. So it's all like independent sources, production assistants, so Flow Poppy Music. It's only one person and there's nothing else listed. And the first thing that I don't know if you guys can hear this, like it's got 170,000 monthly listeners. So Ghostwriters, hold on, let me see if there's more here. Ghostwriter, since its inception, has been an industry innovator and disruptor. That to me sounds like some sort of like AI slop. Turning any mundane moment into your greatest adventures. That sounds like absolute bullshit. Who the fuck talks like that? Ghostwriter is, as the name suggests, the ones working behind the scenes of Hollywood's biggest marketing campaigns to elevate a project to the next level. And that could be complete bullshit. It shows where the listeners are. And then there's like links to Facebook and Instagram for more no. I don't want this shit. It just sounds that sounds so stupid. Go here and don't play this artist. So that's how you do that. Moving on. This is an amazing artist. T-Square is amazing. It's like a Japanese fusion funk band. Absolutely amazing. Thank you for joining this weekend. Have a good Friday. Enjoy the weekend. Yeah, it just absolutely terrible. Let's push this up a bit, see if it gets funky. No, it's pretty slow. Baby metal, Japanese-led metal band. Wow, that's different. T-Square goes way back with the family. Yeah, way back. They're like I found one of their songs recently, like, and I played in some of my demos. The intro is just the bass intro, the intro line, the whole thing was amazing. I mean, it kind of falls apart in the back end, but the intro just slaps so hard. Loved it. So I'm glad I found them. And I found them doing this. I found them just browsing music as easy as this is. So, I mean, like, there's ups and downs with these platforms and services. I know they don't pay well and they disrupted the whole industry, but at the same time, for music's sake, they're pretty amazing. I just wish there was an easier way to, like, actually support the artists, because artists are having a really rough time there. This is Atmos, not the Dolby kind, the industry, the artist. Oh, flex the subwoofers. Here we go.
I've got a fire like a I've got a fire like a I've got a fire like a
Well, I don't really like the crunchy like noises, sound effects on top of everything, but it was kind of funky. I don't mind that. Let's pick one more for the day and then we'll end this off. This is Okay Goodnight. Song's called Spiral. Let's check this out and then we'll just wrap this up. Concerts are the new way artists make. Yes and no, because then it's like if you're touring to make money, then you're away from your families. You don't have, you know what I mean? Like your time off is compromised. It's really rough. And if you're a small artist, you're not making money on venues. There are some interviews with bands and stuff like that now going through this stuff. It's not great for them at all. They have to do other stuff like instrument lessons, merch, podcasting, all kinds of other stuff. Being an artist alone, you can't make it anymore. That's what they're saying. It's pretty ridiculous. Let's fast forward this one. Oh, it's very sort of like contemporary sounding. Okay, let's try one more. Their dogs were astronauts. This is interesting. Founded in Vienna during 2014. All right, this will be the last one. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. Really interesting sound on this. Very progressive sounding. Lots of merch, and not even just merch, like deals with instruments, like promotion deals, sponsorship deals. They have to go after everything now. Some of them are making their own products, like getting their names on stuff. Yes, that's why there's not a lot of new rock bands, because there's not enough money for them to survive in it. Even the ones that are doing it now are like on their way out because it's too expensive. So lone artists can only make it if they play and sell many nights that week. Yeah. I like this. This sounds cool. Nice way to end it. I'm going to add this to my list. This is actually really cool. That's going in my selection playlist. So where do I put that? Discovery, weekly selections, and I want to put that in my heavy metal one too. iPad playlist. All right. Thank you everybody for being here. I know we had a long haul, a lot of topics today, and I appreciate the inputs and the perspectives. It allows us to have this kind of conversation that always aims at clearing up or making the community better. Like I want to leave a mark or leave a path or an influence that allows for more clarity, more welcoming feeling, more understanding, more specifics on topics sometimes. Ultimately, the idea is that we improve, right? We're looking for something in a context that allows us to learn from things, learn from the industry, learn from each other, that helps us achieve both an enjoyable experience as well as knowledge that helps us like pursue the things that we really want. That's why I bring this stuff up. That's why I challenge certain perspectives, because the aim is to always like add a solution. Say like, hey, this is what you can do about this. This is an option that can make this better. And that's what I want to leave people with. I don't want to shut people out. I don't want to hear like a type of gatekeeping essentially, because it doesn't allow people to get in, experience, and then learn if the gate is closed on their face, right? So let me catch up with here. What are you guys talking about? Pixel, it sounded like Nirvana. You got a contract. Yeah, back in the day, exactly. And that was a different time. The industry was different. You didn't have the internet of things at the same time. Like it wasn't the same way. You didn't have digital music being cut into everything. You didn't have these companies scrambling for control. It wasn't really the same back then. Even 10, 15 years ago it was different. And now it's changing again with AI. It's taking over so many different things. It's making jobs so much easier. And with everybody stuck to their phone, if you can put something digital and visual in somebody's face, you got them. It doesn't really matter whatever everything else is. The majority of people, and you could look this up too, the majority of people still watch movies on DVDs. Why? Because it's physical media. There were so many players made. There were a lot of areas that things were like made like bandwidth restricted, regional restricted. It was a technology that was available for so long that there's so much of availability everywhere that the smaller part of the market has moved on, but DVDs are still pretty much widespread. So global perspective, this is what I have to keep going back to. Like, it's not just what we think. There's more to the story. What? Dylan? Who's Dylan? Who's this? Bob Dylan? Who the fuck? What? Were you guys on one? It's not, there is no male version of Madonna, unless you want to say Fabio. Were you talking about Bob Dylan? Please tell me it's Bob Dylan. Like, does anybody refer to him as Dylan? Like one name? You got to be kidding me. Huge Dylan fan. Let me see. Are you guys going to answer me? You guys must both be old. It says in my algorithm that like 25+% of my viewers are older than 65 years old. Oh my God. What? Wow. Hold on. So I took him to the concert. He warned me that he was famous for bad concerts. What? Yes, Bob Dylan. Oh my God. I'm glad you didn't say Bob. Is there another Dylan? I don't know, but I mean, you guys just said Dylan. It could be anybody. He's often referred to as Dylan. Wow. Okay. It's probably not even his real name. You guys see that like We Are the World like background video where they bring everybody together and sing the song? Bobby. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they talk about anything like that there. So Dylan would have been late and play 2 songs and leave. Yeah, artists couldn't get away with that now. Anyways, thank you, fellas, for being here. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. This is about 2 hours and 8 minutes. I'm going to split up the first part of the video to the second part. We'll repost it for the replay. The music can just be bypassed. They're not going to let me get away with that music. Anyways, it's all going to be copyright grasped. And it is what it is. We were talking about industry. All right. I'll see you all in the future. Stay tuned. I do have future updates with the speakers and that kind of stuff. So look forward to my full review, or at least my showcase with the KEF R3 metas. They are in place, tuning in, dialing in, burning in, whatever you want to call it. I still have the Bucarts. The monitor audios are still here. The DIY speakers are here. I've got other speakers that are on the way. They're not quite ready yet. So when those become available, I will be showcasing those in a like wide like comparison. In the meantime, I will be doing what I can to get out to audio shops, update on some technologies. My lives have not been consistent recently. I'm still going through a lot of stuff while I'm off work right now, multiple appointments, trying to keep my schedule together and prioritize my time. Not being too stressed out. That's also part of it. Giving myself a strict schedule is just sometimes pretty. What happened to your R3 woofer? You saw the video, the unit, so I had to swap that out. So the long and short of that situation is when I got the first pair. Yeah, I said first pair. When I got the first pair, somehow they arrived damaged. And I'm pretty sure I let this video go out there. You've seen that. They were replaced. When I got the replacement pair, one of the UniQ drivers had buzzing sounds in it. Essentially, what I anecdotally figured is that the UniQ mid-range coil wasn't seated properly, or something happened to it and it got dislodged. Now, I have the driver, and it looks like part of the driver was pressed on. Like when I removed it, I mean, I have a video of the whole thing. You could see removing it. It's fine. I didn't touch it. I didn't, nothing like that. But yeah, when I got the second pair, the UniQ driver was buzzing, and I have video proof of the whole thing and tested it and swapped it out and bypassed the crossover, all that kind of stuff. Wow. So I have non-meta threes, no issues, and the surround popped out. I don't understand how that's even possible. You must have been playing it very, very hard. Non-meta R3. The surrounds are like buckled underneath the woofer. How would the surround pop out? That's wild. I don't even know how that's possible. But anyways, yeah, I got replacement driver. I repaired it on camera. You saw the whole thing. No problems. And all of it, like everything got turned around in under a month. So the reps were really, really good. Really good at turning the stuff around. I got the stuff shipped straight to my house. No hassle, no issues, no problems. Trusted me with the repair because I've done my own DIY work before, so I understand what I'm doing. Got basic instructions. So, sorry, the thing that hides. Oh, okay, that's different. And there's something in my video that shows like that won't happen anymore because it's it's not just the rubber gaskets that hold it in. It's got that other seal, which you can see in my video, that I had to actually fit back into place. It's actually really hard to remove those now. Like really tricky to remove too. Yeah, the trim ring. Exactly. So if you guys go back, you see in my video, it's got a foam gasket around that side and underneath it. That won't come out easily. So the new ones, there's improvements on every iteration. These are definitely better. They've got that handled. That won't happen anymore. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. It's, like I don't take whatever happened seriously. It's not a big, my video showcases everything. So it's resolved. They sound great. They're in perfect condition. I'm using them now. They sound fantastic. Now I've got Kef in both rooms and everything's good. Okay, cool. Here we are. 2 hours and 15 minutes. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves. Listen to some music. Have some fun. Be responsible. Do something fun. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and they did. Kef took really good care of me. Sebastian, the rep that I have in Canada, is really, really great, really understanding. We both were like, oh my God, but then got to work and fixed, and like it wasn't a matter of like stress. It was just let's fix it. This happens, whatever. Let the company know, blah, blah, blah. And then, yes. So really good. Thank you guys. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. I will see you on the flip side. You guys know where to find me. Discord's always open. Anytime, anything that's going on, that's where to go. So see you guys next time. Take care of yourselves.